Okay, welcome to the next part of the show now, and want to warmly welcome onto the show. We have Ching. She is a food chef, writer, author, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dan. How are you
I'm
doing?
very well, thanks. It's good to see you. Joining me over the Zoom. We're talking about Chinese cuisine. February as well. Recently celebrated the Year of the Ox, and of course your new book as well. So exciting, exciting
Yes, thank
month.
you much. Yeah, I love it. I love this time of the year. It's all full of celebration, even though this year is slightly more subdued than the past, because we're in lockdown. But there's been lots of parties on Zoom, lots of karaoke, sing-alongs, hot pot feasts. So we're still being very creative in how we celebrate. There might not be any lion dancers in person, but certainly lots of dancing.
Yeah. Oh, I would love karaoke. That means empty orchestra, doesn't it? When it's literally translated.
Oh,
But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, as got went off on a tangent there. So let's start with the new year. What's the significance of the ox, the animal?
so the ox is a very hard-working animal. It's very determined. It is very noble. It's first in the fields to work and the last one to come home. So it's natural-born leaders is what oxes are. And hopefully the ox is going to lead us out of this
Yeah.
crisis that we're in and into greener pastures. So celebrating the ox is also the energy of the ox is so determined that you can reach the sky. That's what the Chinese say. We
Yeah.
have it's called 牛气冲天, shoot to the sky. So nothing is impossible this year. So whatever you want, the world is your oyster sauce this year.
That's wondrous. Lovely words to hear there. And yourself, how did you get into cooking? Was it always something that was a passion of yours?
Yeah, I was brought up on my grandmother's knee, and I always watched her cook. My grandparents are farmers. I have lots of family in Hong Kong who are obsessed with food, and every time I go and visit them, they just take me out and feast. And for me, my parents instilled in me that actually you need to be um, connected with your Eastern roots, even though I live in the West. And so it's been a way for me to connect and learn about my heritage, and then through cooking and through food share it with the world, because I'm also a feeder as well. So I love feeding people. I love to
Yeah.
see people when they try a dish, and so that gives me the greatest satisfaction. So yeah, I in a nutshell, I just love food.
How nice. And talking about Chinese cuisine, some of the most famous dishes, you got your chow mein, your duck with the various sauces, dim sum, fried rice, chop suey as well, maybe.
Yeah,
And
shay.
yeah, and I was going to ask, is there a difference between dishes in the West and dishes in the East?
Yeah. I mean, all those dishes that you say are very traditional. You've actually made me hungry.
I, ha- I have a tendency to do that.
um, and they're all very symbolic to have around Chinese New Year. Noodles symbolize longevity. What did you mention there? Duck symbolizes
Yeah,
fidelity. So we have these celebratory dishes. And actually, these celebratory dishes have translated into restaurants and takeaway dishes. And so, in a sense, I'd have to say they're pretty much in line. The only thing I'd say is in Asia
yeah,
and in Hong Kong, certainly, we have a lot more traditional ingredients. So, for example, in a stir fry, like you mentioned, 杂碎, which is odds and ends, which is like a saucy gravy with lots of stir fried vegetables or noodles, if you like, very delicious. In a dish like that, we might have, woodier mushrooms instead. So something that we would get more easily over there. But in a sense, they're pretty
yeah.
alike.
Well, thanks for clearing that up. And I did read, people think noodles are chow mein and chow mein and noodles. Are they kind of in line with each other, chow mein and noodles, or is there a
Yeah,
difference?
chow mein actually, 炒面 in Chinese means stirred noodle. That's the transliteration. So it just means stir fried noodle. So you're not wrong when you say chow mein is a noodle dish because it absolutely is.
And you mentioned ingredients. What ingredients are healthy when preparing a Chinese dish? I notice seaweed is quite good for you.
On seaweed, the homonym, you see, we say the seaweed is, what do we call it? A fa tai. So it's a homonym for prosperity.
Yeah,
Sounds like fa tai, prosperity. It's awfully good to have. And we should be having more seaweed. You know, if you think about it, the fish eat seaweed and they get their omega from the seaweed. And if we eat more seaweed, we have more omega.
yeah,
So direct source. So very delicious.
yeah, nice. And is there an art to using a wok, the frying pan? Is there an actual art?
Yes. So if you look at the wok masters in Hong Kong, if you go to the restaurants there, and I've certainly cooked with some amazing master chefs there, you know, the wok is about this big, the flames are about this high, you know, and the temperature is about 600 degrees. Obviously, you can't get that intense heat and flavor, the smokiness of the wok. You know, you get that when you go to a restaurant. But at home, you can still recreate some amazing um, you know, wok fried delicious dishes using, you know, gas pot or induction. You can still get the flavor. I think the trick is try to start with a simple dish and then work your way up and having all your ingredients pre-chopped first. Because once you whack the heat up on the wok, you don't have time to stop and chop. Your concentration's got to be fully in the wok and keep the ingredients moving.
Yeah,
That's the trick. It's stirring, not overly stirring. Finding your best sauces, your favorite sauce, whether it's sweet and sour or hot and sour or oyster sauce or mushroom sauce. Pair it with some noodles, some fresh vegetables. And you've got a great meal. You know, and anyone can do it.
yeah. Some process advice there for our listeners. And I wanted to ask, you mentioned Hong Kong. When the time's right, what's it like to visit in as a city? You know, when the celebrations are going on, and what places of interest do you recommend to visit?
Well, to me, it's a great place to travel. So the first thing I'm going to do out of lockdown, the first place I'm going to visit is definitely go to Hong Kong, visit my family, feast with my friends. So much inspiration there. There's so much, the energy of that city is just incredible. So like you could go and have dim sum, you know, on a Sunday morning and then wander around the markets. You can go up to the peak or out like a hike and enjoy the gorgeous views of the skyline. You can then have a noodle, like wonton noodles, which are so delicious, you know, up at the peak. It's called Max. It's so famous, little tiny restaurant. And yeah, and then you can drink and go bar hopping in the night, go
Yeah,
karaokeing with honestly, it has so much to offer. And I'm missing travel. I'm missing so much. I've been actually traveling there
yeah.
virtually. So if anyone's interested, it's been my saving grace. Go to discoverhongkong.com/UK. You'll see just incredible videos of chefs cooking, of dancing, of, you know, shopping, of beautiful the culture there in Hong Kong. You can celebrate it when you cook a dish from my new book, or whether you order a cheeky takeaway to celebrate the rest of this new year.
Marvelous. And going to mention your book very shortly. I just wanted to ask, you know, the number eight. Is that considered fortunate in in Chinese culture? The number eight.
Yeah, so number 8 is a very lucky number. The homonym is to prosper, so it's prosperity. The fa 888. So you'll see, you know, license plates in Hong Kong or in Asia is like 88888. You're like, oh, what's that about? You know, or people's phone numbers. They'll brag and they'll say, oh, look at my phone number. It ends in 888. So if you want to play the lottery, maybe just pick all the numbers that end in 8. I
Great.
mean, you can big.
Thank you for explaining that. And you mentioned your new cookbook. What's it called, and where can people obtain it?
Okay, so it's called Asian Green, and it's all plant-based cooking. And it's inspired by my travels in the East, and certainly lots of Hong Kong inspired dishes in here. It's You can buy it online on Waterstones or Amazon. It's just to celebrate more veg on
Yeah.
the table. Anyway, so yeah, we all want to be kinder to the planet and good for our health. So yeah, give it a go.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a joy interviewing yourself, Xing, on the Dennison syndicated show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
You're
Take
welcome.
care.
And yourself.